It's almost like I never learn. When I start a video and say the phrase,
alright, we're gonna do a quick video.
Or even something like,
I'm gonna try and do this no major editing, no voiceover. It's a little windy out today, so we'll see what happens.
then this happens. What started out as a 10-minute job turned into a half a day of chaos. So sit back, relax, and let's see how we got here.
Alright, we're gonna do a quick video. I'm gonna try and do this no major editing, no voiceover. It's a little windy out today, so we'll see what happens. My sunroof twice already has leaked in on me. You'll see from my makeshift napkin here that water just starts pouring in right over here on my lap. It doesn't really leak when the car is still or stationary, but when I take off, it starts leaking. So I want to try and figure out what's leaking. I have cleaned the seams, but it's also been brought to my attention that there are some drains up in this general area here. So because sunroofs don't actually seal 100%, so there is some water that gets in, and then these drains I believe run down here and out the door, which makes total sense because there's a few times where I've started the car, inched forward, and I've heard running water down inside the interior over on that side of the car. But I've never heard it on this side, which means this side's probably clogged up. What do you think there, man? Think it's clogged up?
Yeah.
All right. So we're going to try and figure out where these drain holes are, how to clean them out, and also quick rundown on how to clean all the dirt and grime out of your sunroof seams. So let's get started.
In the interest of being completely thorough, while I was looking up the part numbers for the hoses, which I'll include a link down in the description, I found a diagram showing that there's actually 3 drain ports, 2 in the front and 1 on the right rear. We won't be covering that one today, but this is just another area to consider depending on the leak you may have.
We're going to do a quick shaky cam video here, looking down in the sunroof hole. You'll see down, all right, so this is the front of the sunroof. You'll see right there is a drain hole, and we're going to find out where that drain hole goes. But the first thing we want to do is you want to vacuum out the whole seam, and then after you carefully vacuum it out, we're going to wipe all the edges, get all the dirt off of there. And then with the sunroof open, we're going to clean all these edges because they're kind of dirty. Even though I just cleaned them about a week or 2 ago, they do collect a lot of junk. Sunroofs don't seal 100%, so some water drips down into this tray here. As you can see right there, there's some runoff and stuff. And I guess when this tray fills up and you take off, it leaks back into, I guess, an area you really can't see. But I guess it leaks back inside. And then we have a situation where it comes out the closest hole, which was right there in my oh crap handle. So just using some normal spray detailer. Alright. Next we're going to clean out the channel carefully. Again, you guys should vacuum it first. Make sure there's no dirt and debris in there. There are some limitations to where you can reach, but no big deal. Just get in there wherever you can. Alright. Next would be clean the rubber, gasketing. Now obviously you can only reach a certain amount of it. And then we're going to flip the roof up. Alright. Well, you're going to get a lot of grease on this rag, so this is going to be your junk rag. You're really not going to be able to reuse it. I wouldn't run it through the washer or dryer. Alright, now this is how you clean the rest of the trim. You turn it into the vent, and now you get access to the rest of the trim. Then from inside the car, you can now reach up and clean out the track on the inside. Just be careful not to transfer any of that grease you picked up into your interior panels. You want to look for any large chunks of debris in there. Mine's relatively clean, so I'm still trying to figure out where all the where the blockage is. This will give you a little bit more space If you take these out, you don't want to lose these screws, so I recommend pulling them out. And to the other side as well. Alright, so now that you got the vent up and out of the way, we can go ahead and attack this hole very easily. I'm going to get the blower going and shove the fine point inside there. Alright, now let's run some water down there and see if this actually fixed the problem. Yes, but this is where the water's coming out, down here, right below the quarter panel. Now if we go to the other side, which I already filled up, and there is no water coming out, so we have a clog over there. Let's figure that one out. Water pooled up in there and no drainage. So we're going to go in there and first we're going to hit it with the towel to get all that excess water out. It's been sitting in here for 2 or 3 minutes actually. So I think even though the fact that my leak was on the other side of the car, my problem is over here. There we go. Let's hit that with the blower.
So in a perfect world, this is all most of you will need to do to clean out your sunroof drains. I recommend using a low pressure blower. What I use is a battery operated blower with an inner tube attachment. I've seen a lot of videos online saying use a compressor, blast it with 120 psi. I really don't recommend that. The next drain takes us on a dark journey into everything that could go wrong and exactly what's going to happen if you try and push 120 psi through a completely sealed vent. Let's just say the only place that water goes is into my roof liner and all over my car. Another method for cleaning out the drain tubes includes using wire. I started off with picture hanging wire. I just rounded off the head and spun it around a few times to make sure that the very sharp tip of that wire didn't pierce through the tubing. When that got stuck about 6 inches in, I filed the tip of some 14 gauge copper wire nice and round, and I gave that a go as well. Same thing, it jammed a few inches in. Something big was in there, and it wasn't budging.
You ever have a job that you thought was going to be quick and then turned into a nightmare? Well, this be that job. So we just pulled out this and then you lift it up to get this pillar out of the way. This is the strap, so when the airbags go off, you don't get slaughtered. I'm going to move my DashCam wiring out of the way and I'm going to let this hang. So here's the drain pipe. It runs the length of the pillar, meets up with another pipe over here. This goes up into the roof liner and then meets up with the drain that we were looking at previously. So I'm gonna run some stuff through here and see. I mean, this line looks totally dry, and I've been pushing or trying to push water through it. So let's see if we get the air coming through. Alright, so we found the issue. We do have water flowing down the pillar. Problem is, you have a nice fat tube right here. It's pretty thick. Then you go up into the headliner where the tube, let's see if I can get you guys in there. The tube right there gets crimped and is now stuck together. So when I put pressure on it, water flows through. When there's no pressure, there's nothing. It's kind of squeezed together, so it doesn't want to allow the water to pass by. So we have a problem here. We need to figure out a way to replace the tube because it is completely crimped now. So it's kind of sealed off. But when we add pressure to it, that tube pops open, allows the water through. Yeah, I'll have to figure something out for that. Currently, we're gonna see if we can drop the visor and the handle and get access to that tube without pulling down the whole headliner. Can they just be unplugged? Nope. Alright, so we're going to stick this back up there for a sec until we find the source of the wires. Does this give me any play? Yes, this gives me a little bit more. There's some type of clip up in here. Oh, it's just a little glue. There we go. I just released it. We're going up into the headliner, and you'll see right there is the tube that's being crimped. And we need to find a way to protect that, because as soon as I put the headliner back up, it seals the tube off so water doesn't flow freely. As soon as I release the headliner by pulling it down, all the water flows nicely out there. So I'm going to put something over that and then put the headliner back up just to protect it. So there's my foam running alongside the crimped area. And I'm going to put all this back together and see what happens. All right, we're back on the inside with everything put back together again. The new foam piece inserted, and let's check water flow. And we have a fail. I hate you, car. I hate you today. Big time. Deeper, because now the end blew off and we're leaking. So, you want to push these forward. Or sorry, push these backwards. There we go. And then it's not easy. You got to push really hard. There you go. And then you can push them back forward again. Got to get them around the leather. Okay, grabbing a T10 here. This screw comes straight down. It's a very long one. I'm going to pull off this plastic piece with it and then set that aside. I need a little more. I got to get this one off. Same deal. Let this slide down past the leather. All right, I'll bring you guys up in there with me. With the handle out and the visor hanging, you gotta hook it up there. It's hooked here. You could just carefully put your hand inside here and pry this down. And I'm gonna show you why using high pressure is not a good idea, because we just blew it off the drain. So anybody tells you to crank it up to 120 psi, just so you know that. Why can't I focus? There we go. That wasn't the best of ideas. The hose completely came off the drain, and it's just kind of hanging here. All the water did flow nicely through it, but here's our problem. We have the hose running up and over here, and it's completely crimped because it looks like right, where is it? Right here. There's a clip that came loose. So I'm going to pull this back, see if I can use some heat to undo this flat part. This flat part's our problem. So I'm going to pull all this out, get it out of the car. There we go. Let the water drain. Okay, so I've got the flat part out. Nice clean area to work in. And you can see our problem right there. It's crimped. Let's see. See if I can use some heat to reshape this hose, and then see what we can do. All right, we're gonna try and use some heat to get this back into shape, and if not, we're just gonna order a new one. This is perfect. Get this to expand. These in here, it might have some memory, so I might be able to shove this screwdriver in there, past the crimped area. Yep, there we go. And heat this bad boy up. Not too far, because I don't want it to rip. So right now it's way too hot. It's very hot to the touch, but it's not tacky or sticky. I think I can go a little bit further with it. Give it a little bit more. You can't make it any worse. It doesn't work right now anyway. At this point, I'm going to let this dry. Or not dry, but ew, that's pretty gross. I'll let this hang for a minute. I wonder if that worked. Well, it definitely reshaped it a little bit. It's not squashed together like it was before. I wonder if I heat it up by itself a little bit more and kind of squeeze it the other way. after them. Okay, we're gonna just try and shrink down the end. So this hose, it looks like basically either the car was put together improperly or somebody took the car apart before I purchased it and put it back together again. This hose, this clamp, or this Christmas tree here, belongs on the opposite side of the support for the visor. It was run on the closest to the door, and what that did was it clamped it between a foam block. So the foam block that supports the headliner and here's the roof, we're smashing down and squishing this together. So I found the path that it's supposed to run, which takes up all the slack that was over here before, and we're going to try and put it back together. And I'm going to try and stuff you guys up in the ceiling so you can see what's going on.
All right.
So this is going to be interesting. Alright, so let me point out a few things. And I'm going to be doing this blind. There might be some shaky cam going on, but right here, this is the outlet for the drain of the sunroof. Okay, so this, when you apply high pressure and the line is clogged, it shoots off of here and you lose it. Now, coming over here, you'll see this little groove. Where is it? Hold on, bear with me. You'll see this groove right here. This is a foam block that attaches to the roof of the car to, I guess, you know, just basically a two-sided tape. So it tapes the roof liner to the roof, and the piping was running through it. That was kind of stupid. So I was looking around up here, and there's a Christmas tree clip and a empty hole right here. And look at this, you have the support for the visor here. So that means all this space here is nice and clean for the tube to run through. So I'm going to run the tube over to that space. Alright, and then shove the Christmas tree clip in there, which fits miraculously. And then the hose fits inside nice and deep. Now I've heated up the hose and melted it a little bit, and that seemed to get the hose nice and tight over there. And then, believe it or not, everything fits back together. So this is, to be honest with you, looking a lot better. There's a lot of space over here for this wire, or for this hose to run. Nothing, you know, it's basically going to be resting alongside this piece here, giving it plenty of room. So I'm going to assume that once I slam this all back together, we don't need anything here. Now this is an extreme, obviously. Some of you guys are going to just be dealing with clogged, so you're going to use low pressure, 60 psi, then go to 80 psi. Any more than that, you're really risking blowing off the hose. Even 80 psi might blow it off, to be honest with you. I jacked it up to 120 and I hit it once and it popped right off. I had success at 100, but again, that still might be a little bit too much. So let's get this thing back together and let's see what happens. I want to get the headliner back up and screwed into place. If your two-sided tape is not very tacky, then what you're going to want to do is put some more on. Mine feels pretty good, so I'm going to go ahead and just put this right back up again. You have to start in the back. You guys probably can't see because the visor is in the way, but you're going to have to start all the way back here and start feeding it into the molding. Alright. You're going to want to push everything up and make sure it lines up. So now there's two clamps up in here. Again, you guys can't see. So let me do the visor first. That might be the best option. Let me screw down the visor first. Now the visor was 3 15mm screws that had a point. There's also a wire clip that's supposed to be in there. And I'll make sure you have that clamped in place. What I recommend is once you get this screwed in place securely, this is your part that clamps everything up to the headliner. So this is where and when you want to run your test. And there we go. Nice clear water flow down there. I'm going to do one more test. that's honestly keeping up with the pouring. So I'm gonna say we got a success here, which is pretty awesome because it was hot and annoying to do this. This is my dash cam wiring. I want to move this up and out of the way of all this stuff. So I want to get out of the way of this thing, which is the strap that holds the trim piece on in case the airbag deploys. I want to get that up and over it, and I want to get that to the outside. Okay, we'll deal with this after we put this back together again. All right, now this piece here, you're going to want to put that trim strap back in. So you're going to see a little keyway. You'll see a little keyway right there. You're going to see basically the way it goes is exactly how it flows. So in other words, you want to hinge this. So you're going to take this piece and turn it to match. You're going to slide it inside, and it goes over and under, locks into place. Okay, just like that. Now you're going to spin it around. So now there should be no twists or turns. This is one straight piece just folded up into the top there. Okay, I'm gonna get this up and over, and this piece just slides right in. So line it all up. There's 2 grooves down here for it to slide into, nice and flush. Slide it down there really well. Push it down, make sure it's in good. Okay, now there's only 2 kind of small clips going on here, and that clip is located right here. Alright, so there's more than that, so let me take another photo and I'll point those out. Got some photos for you, I'll show up now. But basically there's 3 things that line up. There's the clip here, there's a peg here, and then there's the peg here that's attached to the strap. There we go. And then once all 3 are aligned, now you can pop them in. Okay, last but not least is to get your trim out of the way like that, and run any wires if you have a dash cam down through there. You happen to get these mixed up, they only kind of install one way. You'll see the screw heads at an angle up into the headliner. You'll see everything just fits together. If you try and do it upside down or backwards, it just doesn't work. So it's pretty simple, just find the right way to do it. You're going to want to finger tighten these just because you're going into moving clamps up in the metal in the roof liner. So once you get a bite on it, you'll feel it. Just don't use any type. You can use a screwdriver, but you don't want to use anything with high speed. You don't want to drill your own new hole. Again, these are T10s, much smaller than the other screws in the visor. Okay, also you're going to want to make sure you have included your trim pieces on there, because that could be annoying to get this all screwed back together and then have to do it again. Alright. Just want to make sure everything moves smoothly too. This handle needs to move and slide back and forth freely once you get the screws down. Okay, you want to make sure the screws are tight and the handle moves. It shouldn't be, you shouldn't have to loosen the handle to get the thing to move. There we go. Nice and tight, and it moves freely. Again, this one, and again, the screws go straight up and down. They don't go in at an angle, they go straight up and down. There you go, nice and tight. Alright, now to do this, you slide this back over the screw head. Yep, there we go, all the way back, and then slide it forward. As far as you can go back, and then slide it forward over the top. There we go. Push on them, make sure they click into place. Nice. Now the last thing to do is to fix your liner around your sunroof. Here we go. Alright, now we got our headliner. Just carefully bend it out and around. There we go. And And push all that up, make sure all that's nice and tight. Man, that turned out to be a project and a half. So now we have a working drip drain, and we're going to go ahead and test that out real quick. One last time, now that everything is screwed back together again. Sweet. Now that's the kind of flow you want right there. Perfect. Alright, here's another angle for reassembly. One last cleaning of the track to make sure there's no debris in there. Get the other side. So there is a tiny little hole right there, and this thing has a little drop in it. That dip ends there. It's spring loaded, and what stops it from coming up is these little straps here. You place the screw in the strap and bolt it down. There you go. Helps if you hold the strap from rotating. Okay, that's one side. That's all. Hold it down so it doesn't twist, and we're done. Full function. So to review super fast, your drains are in the corner here. Your sunroof, obviously you can clean the seals, but it's still going to leak. The drains are what causes it to leak into your vehicle. You clean those out using low pressure, like I started out with my blower. That cleaned up that side. This side was clogged just because it was crimped due to assembly issues. Don't use high pressure in there because you'll run the same risk I did and blow off the tube. And blowing off the tube, as you can see, takes a little bit of time to put back together again, but you know, it's one of those things. If you go in there and see the problem, you can visualize it instead of wasting half of your day trying to figure out what's going on. So if this helped you out in any way, don't forget to gently press that like button. If you're stopping by for the first time, don't forget to subscribe. And as always, thanks for watching.